Should start live now.
The stream is live.
Right, are we live? Okay. Oh, technology, Keith, drives me absolutely bonkers. I'm telling you. And I really appreciate your indulgence over the last couple of days trying to get this thing right. But anyway, let's go.
Are we recording?
We're recording, yes, we're live. The World Cup, of course, starts tonight, and one of the big talking points from our perspective, our point of view, is, of course, the fact that African referee was refused entry into the US, even though all his paperwork was in order, and I'm told that he was even traveling on a diplomatic passport, and still they wouldn't let him in for whatever reasons. By the way, I'm not sure how many viewers we'll get tonight because it's not our usual night. But anyway, let's carry on. And he wasn't allowed in, and he had I don't know how long they kept him, for hours at Miami airport. And then he had to go all the way back to Somalia, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, Sudan.
Yes, Sudan, all the way back to Sudan, and
oh my God,
and missed out on his big dream of refereeing at a World Cup final, which is an awful, awful shame. I'm sure you've been reading about it, yeah?
I think I've commented on it because I think it's somewhat disgraceful, really. A young guy who has proven himself to be the top African referee and has done extremely well, gets appointed to the World Cup final. I think finals, I just think it's mind-boggling. I mean, what I have said is this. I saw a note that referees officiating the World Cup will earn somewhere in the region of $100,000. The very minimum that FIFA can do in this situation is make certain that he receives a discretionary payment of a similar amount to what the referees are earning. That will go some way, I think, with regard to how he has been treated. I find it unimaginable that a referee who has advanced his career to be an elite top official in a country where it's competitive, a number of countries, a federation where it's competitive, has the elation, him, his family, his friends, his colleagues, all of a sudden that's going to generate other youngsters who might consider taking up refereeing as a means of traveling the world.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed in FIFA. I don't know the background fully, but I would have thought that the president, Infantino, a man who has almost a direct line to President Trump in all the sort of exchanges that we've seen in the media and in the news, could not persuade America to allow this official in. I've seen posts where Canada have said we would let him in, but of course the difficulty is that he has to attend that training camp that took place in Miami. He's got to be involved in those discussions with his colleagues and other referees. He's got to have a fitness test, a medical test, all those things to prepare him for the World Cup. And I cannot imagine his feelings. What I have seen that raises my admiration for this young man is when arriving back home, he made it very clear that he wanted to go to the next World Cup, and that would be his aim. Refereeing is very competitive, and to be selected out of thousands and thousands of referees around the world, it just beggars belief. I'm so sad for him and his family. I'm disappointed that FIFA with all the power that they've got, could not convince the president of the United States to allow this guy in.
Yeah, I find it absolutely horrific. I mean, you and I know the long road
Oh,
that's there that we've traveled to get to the top, and then right at the last minute. And actually, why did they allow him to travel in the first place?
yeah.
Why do they even allow him to be selected? And honestly, I think we have to be talking straight here. The finger has to be pointed at Infantino, and
Yes.
to some extent to Colina as well, because he's head of the FIFA referees, and
Yes.
they should have done something, but they just seem to be licking up to the Americans and go. I thought FIFA said there was to be no political interference in football in general,
Yeah.
and that includes
Yeah.
referees. And
Yeah.
here we have absolutely blatant interference in football by FIFA as a group, and they should have done something. But why would they let him travel all the way from his home country with all his visas and all his paperwork in order, and this is very important, traveling on a diplomatic passport?
Yes.
That means he has almost immunity, and they still stop him from going. I think it's absolutely shocking, Keith.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it publicly, and I'll stand
Yeah.
over it. It's absolutely appalling.
The other point to this was, I'm not someone who promotes the idea of any workman striking in whatever capacity. I do think that his colleagues, those referees, 56 of them, could have just got together and said, he's not refereeing, we're not refereeing.
100%.
And my disappointment is, and this is I worry about modern refereeing. I mean, I had an exchange of an email this week with Mike Dean. I haven't spoken to Mike Dean for some years. He was a referee I admired. He was a good referee, and he's doing really good on television, in fairness. He communicates well. Sometimes I disagree with his view, but generally he quotes law, and I agree with the majority of what he says. And he sent me a note saying, I just want to know that your linesman that did the 1981 Cup final, Alan Jones, has sadly passed away with dementia. And I hadn't touched base with Mike, but it highlighted to me, in our era, the camaraderie, the friendship. We might not always have got on. And I suggest the modern referees probably don't like what I have to say about some of their performances and decision making. But the reality is that I do think that his colleagues, I do think that an early notification by Mexico and Canada, the people who are running those competitions, could have come in and said, we will allow him to come to Mexico. We will allow him to come to Canada. America's not going to let him in. We will. And I just think it reflects badly on the World Cup. I think it reflects badly on FIFA. And, I wonder what his federation bosses, who had played a part in his growth as a referee, selection to the World Cup, I wonder what sort of lobbying they were doing when they found out that one of their selected referees was not allowed into the country. I just, I find it incredible, to be honest.
If you boil it all down, it's blatant political interference.
Yes.
And FIFA have always said that they will not allow any form of political interference. I think some years ago, I think the Zimbabwean FA were all fired by the government. I think it was. I'm open to correction on that.
Yes.
And people came in immediately and say, we will not allow that. And
Yeah.
if the government interferes in football matters,
Oh,
we will ban them.
yes.
And I mean, here's blatant political interference. You can call it whatever you like,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
what it is. And they're allowing it to happen, all because they want to suck up to Donald Trump. And
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to go out too much, but even creating that FIFA Peace Prize, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Oh, let me stop before we go too far. Keith,
I know.
lots of changes you sent me. You sent me a lovely long list of new changes that are about to be implemented or talking about having them implemented. We'd like to briefly
Yes.
go through them. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know
No.
it's Tuesday, and it is the opening match, and we'll all be looking forward to watching
Yeah.
that.
I'm really looking forward to the opening game in Azteca because I can remember refereeing in that stadium.
You did, yeah.
And it's just iconic. It's huge. It is a huge stadium, and the atmosphere was incredible. So the first thing, I think that when we saw a few months ago a team walk off, if you remember, and I think it was Sadio Mane who was the only player to remain on the field.
Yeah,
They've come in quickly. They've come in quickly by saying a red card will be introduced for players leaving the field of play or officials inciting them to do so in protest at a referee's decision. And I compliment the IFAB and FIFA for bringing that in, because that will certainly stop the nonsense and help the match referee. So I think that's very, very clear. They've taken this annual general meeting of the IFAB have taken the view that there are too many stoppages in the game. Interestingly, rightly so, for the health of players, we're going to see water stoppages in America, Canada, in this World Cup.
Yeah,
and that is for the health. But what they're going to do is they're going to look at the timing element in terms of the flow of the game and the breaking. So the first one is time-limited substitutions. Substituted players must leave the field of play within 10 seconds of the substitution board being displayed. What they're saying is, because my initial reaction is just a minute, 10 seconds? What they're saying is, get off the field. So at the nearest exit point, that player has to leave.
Subject to security, of course. Yeah.
Should the player fail to leave within this time, they must still exit the field of play, but the substitute will not be permitted to enter until the first stoppage after 1 minute. So this could be, he walks off, he's gone more than 10 seconds. No, you can't come on, substitute. And we've now got a minute minimum and the next stoppage. And you and I know that could be 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
So I was interested because I watched the pre-season sort of friendlies prior to the World Cup, if you like, not pre-season. I didn't see much of that being enforced. Then we look at the off-field treatment and assessment, where a player receives on-field assessment for an injury or their injury causes play to be stopped. The player will be required to leave the field of play and remain off it for 1 minute. So any player now that feigns injury and wants the trainer as a means of stopping, well, okay, the trainer comes on, now you got to go off, but you're going to be off for a minute, mate. So I think that is another good thing.
Yeah.
And then the big one, I think, is the VAR. They're going to give them more work. We've already talked about the corner kick scenario that's going to be used. But what VAR can now do is come in on a red card that has been issued for a second yellow. So red cards arising from a clearly incorrect second yellow card, then the VAR can come in and review that second yellow card and prevent a red card being issued.
But that's going to conflict then with the referee's opinion, which
Yeah, well,
makes
I mean, what they're saying is the referee effectively in issuing a second yellow, if he's got it wrong or the VAR believes he's made a clear and obvious error in that second yellow card, then the referee will be called to the screen to examine his decision and has the ability now to overturn it. So VAR are coming in on second yellow cards.
They're getting more and more involved. Initially, there were just 4 instances when VAR would come in, but they're getting more and more involved now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And the other one that's coming in recent days, literally within the last 2 or 3 days, is that new technology will be used at the World Cup with regard to the offside decision. And what this will do is, first of all, we will not see a delayed offside flag in operation in the World Cup. What will happen is that the assistant, through the use of technology, will receive a signal that the player is in an offside position, and at that point raises the flag immediately.
So back to square one.
Well, we all thought, yeah, we're going back to square one, but the assistant referee is going to receive some technical support to get to that decision. Now,
but the bottom line is he's not going to let play go on and on and on and on and stick the flag up half an hour later.
Correct. And I think then, yeah. So that's technology, and that I suspect is using AI and software in similar situations to the semi-automated system. And I hope it also takes into account the position of the ball and the way it's played. Because you and I know that if the ball is advanced to the players and played backwards, a player cannot be offside.
Correct, yeah.
The other side of it is I'm hearing noises, but I've not found anything to confirm yet how they're going to cope with interfering with an opponent and gaining an advantage. Because the delayed flag that's been operated was to overcome any error of that interfering with an opponent scenario or gaining an advantage. So I assume that technology will come into play, further technology. So lots to look forward to. Remember, tonight's game in Azteca is being played at 7,000 feet above sea level. That will suit, I think, Mexico. And if I'm not mistaken, I can recall Howard Webb when he was preparing for the World Cup involvement in South Africa in 2010. He was dealing with altitude in Africa. So I'm assuming, so Mexico and South Africa, 2 teams that are used to dealing with altitude.
Yeah.
Hopefully they will have prepared. I'm just a touch concerned about the preparation of the match referee.
Well, I can tell you Johannesburg, where I was refereeing for a long time, is 5,500 feet or thereabouts above sea level. So the Mexicans are 7,000. So they'll be sort of used to that.
That's okay. It's the referee.
It's the other teams, the likes of England and Scotland and teams
Yes.
at sea level. They're the ones who are really, really going to struggle. And they will need those water breaks. There's no question about that.
Yeah. And of course, you and I know, having officiated in those situations, we know that the flight of the ball can actually, because of the air pressure is less, it can actually travel a further greater distances. I can remember at dead ball goal kicks, let me put it that way, having to go deeper into the opponent's half when goalkeepers were kicking it long, because it was landing near to the penalty area rather than a few yards inside the opponent's half. These are the adjustments that referees have to make.
Keith, thanks very much for your time and your indulgence with my IT problems. Really, we don't normally go out on a Thursday, but really, thank you very much for your
pleasure.
We'll try it again next Monday, our normal slot. And thank you out there for watching, because I've noticed on the screen here there have been several people watching, but it was the problem is on my end, so I'm really still trying to get it sorted out. But hopefully next Monday we'll do it properly, as we say, at 8 o'clock next Monday, when there'll be lots more to talk about, because a lot of World Cup games will have been played by then. Until then, thank you, Keith, again, and thank you. Good night and God bless.
Good night. Thank you.